Hello guys, this is Tim. So I will be running this tutorial on how to use Flock GPT with Farcaster Frame. So the aim of this tutorial and video is to help you understand how you can create a model, at the same time applying this model to a real-world application. This time we are choosing Farcaster Frame to be our main entrance to this application. So let's get it started. First of all, you need to come to beta.flock.io, register use your wallet to connect, and then you have your account. Next up, you need to go to the point system, and then complete the six social tasks, and then we will grant you the authorization to create a model. So I've done my tasks like here, connect your wallet, your Discord, join our Discord, your Twitter, and your Telegram. So just let me do this just to remove this. Now, you need to do two things. One is generate API key. So as here following. So I've generated by pressing this generate model API key, you will generate a API key. So I've generated two API key already. Let me just use this one. So I'll be mainly using this API key for our further tutorial. And then go. You need to create a model. So this part is quite simple. You need to have your model name, your description, your tag, your data, and your example knowledge. So let me just quickly show you how you can create this model. So I will be creating this model for Flock. I will call this model Flock Farcaster Frame. And then I'll update a logo, something like that. Let me search a logo. I have this logo. And then for description, I will say, so this is a Farcaster tutorial, Farcaster Frame tutorial bot for testing. And then I'll add this as a project discovery. And then what you need or information about Flock. Next up, you can, for example knowledge, we support several different formats. For example, whether it's plain text, where you can copy and paste in this import tab, or it's a PDF or text file where you can upload from here. For this time, I will just upload 3 of our papers. So you need to upload one by one. Just do that. Or it can simply be a link where it directly retrieves the most present page. For example, if I say I want to go to our Medium, Flock Medium, and then all I need to do is just copy this link and copy it here, and then I can confirm. So this link will be transferred into a text to be read, and then I can create this model. So I have created this model already as following here. So where I will be using this model as our tutorial example. So after you create your model, you will need to go to frog.fm. This is the framework that we will be using to create Farcaster frames. This is a framework that is built by Paradigm with WEVM on top of Hono. I personally consider it as one of the most easiest and quick framework for you to learn how to create frame. So before we start, you first need to install the packages as following here in the installation. You can choose whether you want to use npm, yam, or pnpm. So I've already installed everything. Let's bootstrap by CLI first, and then we first need to go to create a new directory. Let me just go to a document and then make directory as we see here. So I will call it a flock bar frog. Just a random naming. It doesn't matter. And then wait, I don't. Uh, and then we can just init npm init. So I will call it block dot var dot frog. I made a mistake here. So I should first init and then do not create a directory. So when you are actually in the progress, please do not make a directory. Directly use init. So it will create the directory for you. We'll just use the default one here. You can see here we go to the frog block var frog, and then we just say npm install to install all the dependencies. So here I'm using the VS Code. I'll just open it as you see here. Uh, Good, we are now inside. So let me just walk you through what's inside this directory. So you have this as source code. So you have this index file. So everything out of the frame will be built within this file. And then you have this public folder to store all your assets. For example, your images, your other related stuff. And then it's quite a straightforward and simple package management by npm and TypeScript. Okay, great. So we have our project initialized. So before we run into any creation of the frame, we first need to create a folder called API. So this folder will store our Flock API. So and also create a file called Flock API.ts. So in order to use Flock API, you can come into this page. So it's called docs.flock.io, AI co-creation platform and model API key, API guide. So here I've created a guide for you to help you implement the Flock API into the usage. So all we need to do is copy this here, and also you need to install the two dependencies, axos and .evm. Do is npm install axos and .evm env. So now I have all installed. So let me just restart the TypeScript server. So this script is quite old. So I think we need to make some amends. So first of all, delete these. So you want to return the response data, and then also we see here the process to delete that. Just delete the config here. Should be able to push it in. And also we need to change this to env dot block and point. So next we create a .env file. So it's here. Just to similarly copy and paste this part. Then what we need to do is we will copy and paste the API key as well. So just let this pending. So generate API key. So we have this API key here. So now you're good to go. And then we also add another field called block ID. So we will use it in the future when we interact with the Farcaster frame. Okay, so we also need to remember we also need to install the types node because we are using TypeScript. Let me just also add this in as well. So now we should be fine with the errors. So this is a very and then lastly we need to add this. So it's called model ID. So where depending on users configuration, we need the model ID. So where the model ID will go into this field. And then we change this name to chat flock bot, and then export this chat flock bot. Yeah, so this API will be running when we call the endpoint. So let's get back to the frame itself. So before we go into the actual coding, let's run through the code first. So you have the imports here, you have the dev tool, and then you have the button, frog, and text input. So the button is the main interaction intent we use to um, jump between different frame pages. And the text input, very easy to understand, it's just for text input. So the main part of this frame is the app.frame where it allows you to create a frame. And then we have this C as a pseudo to break down the character attributes within a frame. You see here we have the button value, input value, status. And then you have the return. In the return of response, it's split into two parts, the image and the intent. So that's how a frame is built up. So where in this image you can embed it with HTML and also the styles. So for this time we will just do a very simple, easy change on here. So let me just remove. So we'll keep this default style. Where what I need to do is we'll remove this part and then just make it as a black background and then remove this one. So and also we'll leave the text input and then just change the placeholder to enter prompt, enter prompt about flock, and then we'll leave one of the button. So that we set the value to model ID. Model ID. Then we say let's chat. And then lastly, there's this when status is response, we will have this button to reset, where the reset button leads us back to the initial stage. So now what we need to do is very simple, just to first of all input the API function. So input chat with flock bot from the from the flock dash API file. And then we will add here, we will change this, we'll remove this, we'll say, okay, const prompt is equals to input text, and then the const model ID, ID is equals to button value. Next, we we need to do a validation over here to see if we have a prompt or not. So if prompt is equals to if model ID is equals to undefined, we will show a error message. So if prompt is undefined, so it will just activate our default let's chat function. So we need to make sure that both prompt and model ID is contains value instead of undefined. So we need to do a type check if it equals to undefined or model ID equals to undefined. We just so here we do another variable called response to store our response. And find So we'll say response will just return a string that calls detail unsatisfied. Detail not satisfied. Please insert. So we know that model ID is embedded in defaultly. So the only way that this will run into the error is prompt undefined. So we just tell user to insert a proper prompt, and then we say else. And then we before that we need to add a async because the chat flock bot will return a promise. So that we need to wait for the cost to complete. So let's say, okay, we do a try and catch just to prevent any connection error. Response is equals to await chat bot. Then we'll pass in the prompt and model ID. Model ID. Okay, so I think I had a typo here. So response. And then for and then we'll say catch catch error, and then if the error happens, we will say response is equals to there is something wrong with the process. Please try again. Just type this in. So now we have this running. Next, we need to design what's showing on the page, right? So of course we know once the status is response, or we can actually wait to retrieve the response and then show it in on the frame. Status equals to, so if the status is equals to response, we say okay, we'll just run this. We need a bracket here, so then it will be it will be response answer. No, actually, we can do a if condition. So if the status is not response, we will show the default. If the status is response, we will show the response answer. If it's not, then we will just show the default default message we want. So let's say, so if the answer, then we will say let's chat about block. So and then we want to also add some sort of identifier to allow user to see what question they are asking. So we just copy this, paste it here. If the response, but this time we'll only show this when if the status is response. So we'll say okay. So we'll say prompt. We'll just directly print out prompt. Or we can do this like okay, your question is prompt. Next we need to change some of the attributes and styles of the text. So we see here the font size is quite large. So what we want to do is just lower it down. So I'm going to make it 24, and here gonna be 16, and then we save it. So Frog has a very great local test tool. So let me just show you here. So you go to this one. So you see here. So by now you have this very great local view on your frame. So before Frog framework, you need to go to Rapcast validator, but the Rapcast validator cannot test with local URL, at least from as far as I know. And you can see here, it just keep on loading. You can't really do anything. You need to deploy your frame first in order for you to validate. But with Frog, you can do everything locally. This is something really great. I love seeing this. So let me move this size slightly larger. So let us do a condition. So if it's let's chat about flock, we can actually make it larger. Otherwise we make it smaller. So stasis equals to, so we just copy this condition. Um, so we return as so if it's response answer, we return 16. Otherwise we return 60. No, it's all right. Let's directly check up. Let's run this again. So every time if your error appears in within the application, it will pause the running. So we need to run it again just by using npm run def. So let's go in. So you see now it's better. So let's chat about flock. So what is flock.io? So your question is what is flock.io? And we should be seeing the response. Check. Oh, I think here I forgot to tell you about bot bot ID. So the bot ID, so the model ID will be here on your URL. So for example, you can use Flock GPT as an example. Once you click in, you'll see your model, and your bot ID will be this one. We'll be using this as our example. Just save it here. Apologies on this. If we go back, let's reset, and then we go back, and then what is block.io? It should be fine this time. So it should run the whole thing. Okay, so we have this connection rejected issue. Let me just have a look into the debug a bit. So we know the prompt is here. Let me just, what I will do is I will first clear this out here. Then we run it again. Invalid URL. Oh, I think that's the problem. So because I don't have this bot, uh, let's try again. This time should be fine. So now you have the prompt, and then you have the answer here, and then we can see. Now you have the question, and then it will return you the answer, and then you can keep on chatting, and then saying like what is federated learning, for example. So and then federated learning, it will just keep on. So this is a very easy and quick tutorial on how you can use Flock model with Farcaster Frame. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more, please follow us on Twitter and keep an eye on our YouTube channel as well. So the link as follow.